Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the monthly Earth energy reading for Earth signs or anybody who's currently working with or looking into their Earth energy. And this, just please keep in mind that my tarot and oracle readings are for entertainment purposes only, and to please check out the description box for the full disclaimer. And we are still dealing with scammers in the tarot community, so if you're not familiar with that issue by now, it's been going on a couple of years. Please check out the description box for some information and what to look out for there in the description box as well. So I'm going to get right into the energy reading. So Earth signs, this was pretty interesting. You have some people who are sort of fighting with you and trying to talk you out of a particular point of view or value system that you have. And this does have to do with social justice issues. So from your perspective, you see all the cruelty and selfishness in the world, the way people are hurt by that, and particularly people who are vulnerable. So you keep hearing things from people who disagree with you or sort of don't want to be bothered with worrying about what other people are going through. And they're encouraging you to be more selfish. They may be saying things to you like, oh, don't be such a bleeding heart. Like, you can't worry about the whole world. Or, maybe they're blaming people for their problems and circumstances instead of looking at the bigger picture, instead of looking at, the issues and all the variables that factor into why somebody may find themselves in a position of suffering, in a position of victimhood, and that there are situations where that is a very valid position to take and to want to advocate for people in that position. And at the core of it, you're saying, what is wrong with having a heart? What is wrong with caring? God forbid that we should care about other human beings. There seems to be, if you spend any time on social media, right, like this attitude of, there's the social justice crowd, and then you have this counter wave that's emerged. It was always there, but particularly now, that's come up against it, that's like, oh, well, if you're a victim or if you can't make it, it's, you're just weak and it's entirely your fault, and we don't want to hear it anymore, right? So there's that as well. And I think some people who maybe it's not that extreme to the point where they just don't care about people at all, but they think that they are helping you by encouraging you to sort of focus on yourself and not so much on, you can't say that. They may tell you things like, you can't save the world, and there's some social issues that will never be fixed, and it's always going to be this way, so why worry? And I see you actually remaining very steadfast in your belief, actually, that there has to be a way to govern and to lead with greater compassion and care for people, right? So we see this, the Fool. I see this very much as you going on your own way. Sometimes it's not enough to just throw money at situations, and it's, where is the care and concern? And you see that, if you are in a particular position where things are going well for you, that maybe you have an obligation to do something about improving other people's circumstances who are less well off than yourself. And with the Star too, you're encouraged to follow the map that you have in mind, follow your guiding light, which I see as a very compassionate and peaceful approach to things, and one that wants to understand and see where people are coming from. And the card at the root of your reading is the King of Cups. So this is a ruler, a leader, somebody who leads with, obviously with their head and with wisdom and good judgment, but also ultimately from the heart. So they take feelings and emotions into consideration. They're not uncaring. Even when they have to make difficult decisions, it's not like it's easy to just sort of say, well, too bad, you're getting the, the wrong end of this, the bad end of the stick in this situation, right? It doesn't, they know, they are aware of their power, but it doesn't bring them any pleasure to have to, um, sometimes leaders are in positions where they have to do what's in the good of the most people, but the people who get left out or who they can't help, that does have an effect, right? Like they are aware that, um, that there are people who are still suffering or who didn't benefit from certain decisions. And so this sort of energy could be tied to a left-wing perspective, or a sort of a more socialist, a more compassionate and humanitarian sort of energy here. And so your message for this month ultimately is to stick to your guns, really. That people will tell you things like, oh well, survival of the fittest, that life is a competition and there's people who won't make it. That's just the way it is. And you're keenly aware of that, but you feel that nature and comparing human beings to what goes on in the natural world in that sense is probably not the best comparison, because we're self-aware and we know better, and when we know better, we can do better. And you're looking at, the human condition and thinking to yourself, we created capitalism, we created communism, and whatever dictatorships, whatever form of government or organizations of power and distributions of power and resources you want to look at, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, why can't we come up with something that's better than all that works for everybody? And just this idea that, oh, well, capitalism mimics survival of the fittest, so ultimately that's the best system for all of us, and you're not having it. Essentially, you're not having it, and you're pretty much sticking to your guns, because in your opinion, you're thinking, well, the world is a terrible place, but how much worse would it be if there were not people like yourself who still care and who still try to do good wherever they can, to reach out and help in whatever way they can? Maybe that's what prevents things from getting way worse than they would be otherwise. And that's something to think about, and it's a very valid idea, But yeah, ultimately, I felt the energy coming from this reading was saying, stick to your guns. Like, don't let anybody talk you out of caring about other people. Don't let anybody talk you out of feeling that there's a better way for us to live together and to distribute power and resources and organize ourselves for greater peace and greater harmony, and some people say, it's a pipe dream, like it's never happened. Look at history, it's never going to happen. But you're not having that. You think, well, if we give in to that, then we've let evil win, in a sense. And so yeah, the takeaway message is just, if it feels right to you to continue to be a caring person in a world where people are being encouraged more and more just not to, just to turn away from all that. Yeah, don't give into it. And so Spirit wants to encourage you in your views and in, what's in your heart, and to pursue that and to live by that if you feel that is what's right. So that is your message for this month for Earth signs and Earth energy, and I hope that was helpful to you, and that you have a great rest of your month, and I will see you next month with another message. So take care.